So about 2 months ago, I tried to do a Q&A. Sadly, nobody asked any questions, except one guy, who asked, what are my thoughts on Halo Infinite? So, I'm gonna do that now, after like 3 weeks. I've been a big Halo fan for as long as I can remember, so naturally I've been following Halo Infinite's development since its first reveal in 2018 with this amazing trailer, which I didn't even know was Halo related until the big reveal with Master Chief's helmet, which is just perfect. Watch. Perfect. Great. It's a perfect reveal. This instantly got me hyped for the game, and seeing this massive landscape with the towers in the background, and seeing this, you're back on a ring with those mysterious towers that's gonna shoot balls of energy. Combat Evolved gave me big Combat Evolved vibes, which is great because that game has amazing atmosphere. And this right here too, new engine. Boom, Slip Space engine. Looks amazing. And also this little teaser. What's that? Cortana's chip? Thought she was gone. After the reveal, 343 kinda went silent on Halo Infinite, which left the internet plenty of time to speculate and try and find out what the game would be. But then, on E3 2019, they dropped another trailer called Discover Hope, which revealed Master Chief's new armor, the setting, which is Zeta Halo, a really cool place, a lot of lore there, and a new character which the internet nicknamed Brohammer after Foehammer from Combat Evolved. Pretty exciting stuff. And then they announced E3 2020, boom, big gameplay reveal. Now with the build-up to the gameplay reveal out of the way, I can now talk about my current thoughts and opinions on Halo Infinite, which I can say right off the bat are pretty positive. I can look past a lot of the problems that its reveal had, such as the kinda iffy graphics at times. Like, yeah, there was some pop-in, but overall the game looked pretty good. I think everyone kinda had an overreaction to the graphics, and we're focusing on it way too hard, because I was focusing on every tiny little detail, like how the Warthog looks and drives, the fact that when he got hit by a plasma grenade, one of the wheels fell off, which has been confirmed. Vehicles will actually have damage points now. Very exciting. Also the map, which kind of proved that, yes, the rumors were true that it's kind of an open world game, not fully open world. That isn't true. It's semi-open world. It's still a linear campaign, but with lots of exploration, which I am so ready for. Exploring in Halo is some of my favorite stuff. It's amazing. They already said that there's gonna be stuff like seeing sentinels go into a cave far off in the distance, and you can follow them into that cave and find a secret Forerunner structure with weapons and equipment inside of it. That's gonna be great. Or finding and rescuing Marines, hopefully some ODST. ODST, best soldiers, best boys. Halo 3 ODST, favorite Halo game pretty much. It's amazing. Also the return of equipment from Halo 3, which I really like. Wasn't the biggest fan of armor abilities. I think Halo 5's gameplay was actually pretty good with the built-in armor abilities. That really made you feel like a Spartan, because the Spartans pretty much always had those like booster packs. But you just never really used them in-game, which was a bit odd to me. Because like, why would you not want to use that? It's really fun gameplay. And also, the new weapons, like the Commando and the Ravager, I believe, as well as the Mangler, or is it the Mauler? I know one of them is very similar to something from Halo 3, which is this tiny little brute pistol shotgun, which is what a lot of people, including myself, thought it was on reveal, but it isn't. It's like a giant hand cannon, and it's, I think, is the replacement for the Magnum, which might disappoint some people. But the Magnum, I don't know, it's great, but I think the Sidekick fills the role of, like, the Halo 2 Magnum. It's a quick pop a headshot kind of thing on weaker unshielded enemies. Like, you can see him just kind of pull it out and just start popping grunts and jackals, because, you know, they don't have shields, so it's a perfect little thing. But the actual, like, hand cannon part of the revolver, that part is being filled by the Mangler, I'm pretty sure, because it's a giant brute hand cannon revolver with 8 shots. That's a lot of bullets, and it obliterates. You can see him popping brutes, popping grunts, popping jackals, just like the Combat Evolved Magnum, which is great, because now we have the best of both worlds. We have the Sidekick, which thankfully got a redesign. Looks a lot more Halo now. Got a big ol' laser sight thing on it. It kind of makes me think of a USP-45. Pretty cool. But now we have the best of both worlds. Sidekick, for like the Halo 2, fast, you spawn with it, pop some unshielded enemies, swap it for something else. But then the Mangler, you have this big, beefy hand cannon, which is really good, but not amazing. Like, if you want long range, just pick up a sniper rifle. You want closer range, just get a shotgun or AR, whatever. Speaking of shotgun, pump shotgun, it's gone. But that power weapon shotgun role, that's being filled by something else, which I'm very curious to see what it is, because it is currently unrevealed what the replacement for the classic power weapon shotgun will be. And hopefully this means the shotgun will actually be a proper power weapon instead of a glorified confetti launcher that's really only good if someone's standing right in front of you. Because now we have a non-power weapon shotgun, which is more of like just kind of a toned down shotgun that fills a completely different role. The Bulldog, it's faster, it's for like hit and run tactic. It's not for running around and obliterating with. It is for getting close, like slide up to someone, boom, boom. Don't know if it's going to be a one shot or not. Probably not. For balancing, it's probably going to be just a lighter shotgun for a different gameplay style. But then whatever is taking the role of the power weapon shotgun, very curious to see what that is. Because now they can let it actually be super powerful. Not super, super powerful. Because Halo isn't about hyper lethality. But hopefully it's replaced by something. I was disappointed when they said the classic shotgun wouldn't be there. But after learning that it's kind of been split into 2 different roles, very, very excited to see what they do with it. Okay, now with that little rant about the new weapons out of the way, time to talk a bit more about my actual opinions and hopes and thoughts on the game. Okay, starting with the most controversial bit of the game, the graphics. I don't think they were that bad. The game has a different art style. It's very soft. It's not meant to be hyper-realistic like a lot of people were. I feel Microsoft kind of screwed 343 by advertising it like it's built entirely for next gen, and that it's gonna be this amazing graphical set piece, when it really isn't. Like, it looks good, especially if you look at the more recent screenshots. It's beautiful. It looks amazing. It looks like Halo. It has that kind of fantasy, not fantasy, but like fantastic look that Combat Evolved tried to have, which is kind of what this game is. The developers have said that it is kind of what the original Combat Evolved developers wanted the game to be, couldn't do because of technical limitations, because, you know, was being developed in the 90s. You can't really have a massive open world and super fast movement. You can't have all this super advanced stuff. But they can now, which I'm really excited for. Hopping over talking a bit more about gameplay, kind of glad. It seems what they've done is they've stripped it back to the base of, like, Halo 3. Take away all the stuff, start from that point, and then add in the stuff they know works. No more Spartan Charge, no more boosters, none of that, as far as we're aware. We haven't seen any gameplay, they haven't mentioned it. But what is there is stuff that is useful. Sprint, I like Sprint. It is useful. It is a standard FPS mechanic. I don't understand how people get mad over it being in Halo. It's perfectly fine. Lets you get to cover quicker, lets you get places faster, and especially in this game, because it's super huge. You don't want to be slowly walking around trying to get to the next area. They also have Slide, which is great for sliding into cover. That is a pretty useful mechanic. And Clamber, you get to climb things instead of getting stuck on things and trying to jump over them without any clamber. I think it's a pretty useful game mechanic that should be standardized, honestly. It allows for getting around a lot easier and adding sneaky little ledges that you have to jump and grab onto. That can lead to a lot more map creativity, especially with like power weapon placements on multiplayer maps or secret caves. And speaking of cool movement, the grappling hook. I'm very excited to see all the stuff you can do with the grappling hook, since they said that there's really not that much restriction in the level design. You can go up on mountains, go across cliffs, do whatever the heck you want. Also very excited to see what people do with it in Forge, like a custom game where you have unlimited, no recharge grapple hooks, and you can just swing around in a custom map. And either try to, like, an infection with that would be so much fun. Just trying to escape the zombies and just jumping around like crazy. I'm excited for custom games and Forge in general, because it's coming off of Halo 5, which has the best Forge in any Halo game. It's pretty much just developer tools at that point. You can make your own game modes and maps with more detail than ever. It's great. I hope they expand on it and keep custom weapon making, which was one of my favorite things to do in Halo 5. Okay, one more gameplay related thing, so I can stop myself from ranting on about gameplay for much longer. I'm looking forward to the new vehicles that they're adding, because they're adding a new one called the Razorback, which is a heavily armored, almost APC-like Warthog, but it doesn't have a turret. And I'm just kind of excited to see what they do with that, as well as reworked vehicles and a revealed vehicle that has something to do with fire, which I'm very curious about and excited to see what they do with that. Like a flamethrower tank. That would be cool. It would be World War II all over again, but in space. Remember, the music convention doesn't fall in space. Okay, now moving on to my story, hopes, and expectations, and kind of speculations. There's been a lot of leaks. Of course, people have talked about Locke dying, which honestly, I wouldn't care. He was not a very good character, and was kind of a cardboard cutout, just generic space bounty hunter dude. Wasn't a very good character. I would rather see him developed into a better character and brought back in. I am very curious about why that brute had what looked like the front part of his helmet as his shoulder plate. I'm curious what they're gonna do with that. Speaking of curiosity, I'm curious what they're gonna do with the whole Halo 5 story, because you can't really just ignore that. Like, the Created and Cortana, you can't just forget that they're there. You can't just throw that out the window. So, I'm curious to see if the Prometheans, the Created, or Cortana are gonna show up. Or is this a pretty isolated story that's mainly just gonna focus on the Banished? If so, I'm perfectly fine with that. I really like the Banished. They're big space monkeys. Amazing characters. And that's kind of all I'm really curious about for the story. I just kind of want to see how it turns out. I really hope Halo Infinite turns out to be a good Halo game, a good game in general. Pretty curious about how the multiplayer is gonna work, because it's free to play, stuff like that. I'm curious if the Big Team Battle 2.0 rumors are true or not. I kind of doubt it, but also kind of not at the same time. I overall don't really know what the multiplayer is going to be like. I mean, Halo 5's multiplayer was pretty good, so pretty hopeful. That's how I feel about Halo Infinite in total. I think it's probably going to be a pretty good game and a new start for Halo, putting aside the stumbles that 4 and 5 had, and bringing in new people to Halo once again, hopefully. Well, there you go. Those were my hopes and thoughts on Halo Infinite. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe. I don't really know why you would, because my content is pretty subpar, but if you feel inclined, thanks. I'm really thankful for that. Well, not very recently, but recently, I passed 100 subscribers, which I never expected, but thanks and goodbye.